Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I'm back here at my favorite filming spot location, and guess what? We have something all new from that iconic Swedish car manufacturer. It's this vehicle right here. This is it. This is a 2025 Volvo EX30. This particular one is the twin motor Ultra trim. But before we get into this smaller size, all new modern style Volvo, let's talk about what's going on here. So Volvo is really kind of expanding their portfolio. They're not giving up on internal combustion engines, but they are expanding on their fully electrified vehicles. And with this particular EX30, this is going to be your entryway, being that smaller, compact size. One main competitor for this vehicle would be that new Cadillac Optiq. Now, because it has dual motors, you'll be surprised, or maybe you won't be surprised, of how quick the acceleration is of this new EX30. Plus, wait until I show you the interior, because Volvo is taking their style and design in a totally new modern era. But what I want to find out is this SUV of the year? And is it the must-own if you're looking for something that's unique and that has that unique extra driving experience that only Volvo can provide? Why don't we go ahead, let's dive into ours and see if we can find out. Right off the bat, new color. It's called moss yellow. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, why is it called moss yellow if it doesn't look like it's moss from a tree? Well, in Scandinavia, there's a certain type of tree with a certain type of moss that has a yellowish tinge to it, so that's why they call it moss yellow. At the front of the business, you're going to notice all new design with our headlights. So you're still going to have Thor's hammer, but it's fully LED, daytime running lamp and turn signals. You got your LED headlights. Love the way Thor's hammer now really mimics the shape of the headlight housing itself. Massive corner air curtains with just a little splattering of gloss black, and then the rest of it is going to be flat black on the lower portion. Now, as we come across the front nose, Volvo's doing their style a little different with their EX models. Instead of coming out with like a faux grille, you're just getting the badge, that iconic Volvo badge, forward-facing camera built into the badge. And then I like the way that they kind of put some ridges on this lower trim area. Not trying to make it look like a vent, but this is a perfect way to add style to a flat black area without making it look like something it's not. You do have functionality on the bottom portion because we do have a liquid cooled lithium ion battery pack, and I like that nice aggressive splitter that's built into this flat black area on the bottom. But let me know what you think about the face of this new EX30. Now, as we rise up, super sleek. Look at how nice the hood meets the front fascia. You can't even slide a credit card in there. They do a good job with kind of putting some indentations on both sides to give the front of the vehicle character. And that's what I like about this vehicle. Even though I'm not a big, huge EV fan, and I'm not buying one anytime soon, I can respect the style that they brought to this rather than doing something rounded like a Tesla and just no creativity. There's a lot of creativity with this EX30. Now, when we come around the bend, what are we working with? Wheel and tire setup. So what you're gonna find are these aero generating wheels. Nice large wheel. It's a 19-inch wheel with the machined aluminum, the gloss black inserts, and obviously the way it's designed is supposed to be like a fan that takes that air and sends it down the side of the vehicle. Tires are going to be 245 on the width, 45 series on the sidewall, and of course, because this is dual motor, you have all-wheel drive. You'll notice everything is painted just a little bit. As we kind of rise up, there's just a little bit of fender flare that's flat black, but the rest is all painted. I love the indentations. The indentations give it some nice purpose to the style rather than looking like an egg or a jelly bean. I like jelly beans, but only Jelly Belly. I don't want my car to look like a jelly bean. Coming down the side, you do have your power folding mirrors. I have it in the lock position to show what those look like. 360-degree cameras, obviously your turn signals built in. two-tone paint job with the metallic black with our moss yellow. And then I like the way you have your door handles body color. It's gloss black only along the bottom of the window frame openings. And then that flat black with the ridges, which matches nicely with the front. Really, like I said, where they placed all the indentations gives it a lot of character. Now, coming towards the rear, nice the way they put the quarter glass into the rear door and the way that trim kind of rises up, and then you have your two-tone with the EX30 badge built in to the rear pillar. Coming around back, it's almost perfect. Almost perfect. LED lighting, they're doing a great job at Volvo with their LED lighting, especially the way they bring it into the rear here. Nice long roof spoiler. You got that panoramic solid glass roof. My one zonk is take this wiper out of here because that would really clean it up. And I know you're probably saying, well, Joe, it must be hard to see out the back glass because of how small it is. Actually, it's the opposite. It's really easy to see out the back glass while you're driving. They took the button for the rear hatch, built it into the gloss black trim. You got that Volvo name spelled out. I guess that's like the cool thing. The cool kids are doing it. Everybody's spelling out their brand name, from Lexus to obviously Acura to Honda. You're starting to see that a lot more. So you got that Volvo name spelled out. EX30 badge. Love the way they kind of hollow out the 30 to let the colors shine through. And then dropping our way down to ground level, super clean. Nice aero style on that lower bumper to help generate that air out the back from the vehicle. But I like the fact that nothing is protruding. The bumper isn't protruding. None of these areas are sticking out past where the rear lift gate is. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop that hood and see what the heck is underneath it. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. Unfortunately, not much to see. Now, I want Steven to kind of show off what is there, and then we'll open up the door to underneath the hood. But what you're looking at, or I should say what you can't see, underneath all the sheet metal and plastic are two motors, 422 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque. It uses a 69 kilowatt battery pack that's lithium ion with the all-wheel drive 0 to 60 in about 3.2 seconds, quarter mile in 11.8 seconds. Top speed is governed to 114 miles an hour. Now, what's nice is instead of having no front-mounted storage area, you do have enough for your charge cable. And if you notice Steven's favorite, you do have the Easter egg. There's your EX30 that's about to be attacked by a ginormous moose. Remember, first of all, this is annoying. I can't believe that this doesn't stay up. That's a zonk. But I want to just tell you that, remember, it's not mooses if you're talking about plural. It's just moose, just like fishes. Fish, that's it. Okay, are we on the same page? But gotta zonk the fact that it doesn't stay open. What's our range though? 253 mile range. That equates to 116 mpges in the city, 100 on the highway. You could charge from 10% of battery life to 80% of battery life on a DC fast charger in less than 30 minutes. And the vehicle weighs 4,189 pounds. So you got a nice little place to put the charging cord. Obviously, not too shabby, less than 30 minutes to get up to that 80% charge. But why don't we go ahead, let's turn it on and see that 0 to 60. All right, guys, we're inside this all-new, first-time ever 2025 Volvo EX30 twin motor, all-wheel drive, ultra. I know you're probably saying to yourself, well, Joe, this actually has a pretty cool look to it. And I'm glad that Volvo is bringing something like this to market because I don't want a Tesla. I don't want a Cadillac. I don't want a BMW. I don't even want a Mercedes-Benz. I've always liked Volvos. I have a Volvo wagon with a manual transmission back from the 1990s. And if I'm going to do EV, it's got to have the Volvo name on it. But how much is it? Very good question. There's only two trims. The Ultra is the top trim. That has an MSRP of $48,395. But let's see what Volvo has done with their new design philosophy for the modern era to the door panels. All about minimalism and design. You got a bunch of reclaimed, recycled materials. You'll notice just the door handle is there in that actual aluminum style trim, and then it kind of blends into the rest of the trim on the door panel. Working your way down, a nice soft armrest, sort of like a wetsuit, but you'll notice there's no switchgear for windows, door locks, or anything like that in this vehicle. Down below, you got a supersized door pocket, so you could go to Panera, get yourself a couple salads, maybe a bacon turkey bravo, and a nice smoothie. Now, going from the door panel to the dash, soft touch, more of that wetsuit style material. Look at the way they did the AC vents. That's actually ambient lighting inside that trim. And then you also have ambient lighting that runs along the bottom of this dark black area on the dash. Across the front of the dash, we have our Harman Kardon sound system. It's like a sound bar speaker system that you would use at home. And then slide on in, you got an all-new infotainment system screen. Larger than what you had in the past, so you're looking at over 10 inches in size. It is that vertical portrait style. For me, though, the zonk is that this is it. Everything is in the screen, including your gear indicator, your charge, your range, your speed. All of that is in the screen. So let me know if you're digging that or not. Let's talk about the important controls, things like AC. So to get into your AC controls, this is where you would touch on the bottom screen area. You got your blower fan. You could do where you want the air sent, blower fan speed. Obviously, it's dual climate control, which is nice, so you could adjust the temperature, but like you're seeing, everything's in the screen. 3 stages of heated steering wheel, 3 stages of heated seats. No ventilated seats. That's a zonk at $48,000. Now, this is your electric shifter, and I'm going to put it into reverse, and then there's our backup camera. Very, very clear. So it's like I almost could feel the texture of the pavement out back. You got your trajectory lines, your 360. I just wish the visual was a little bit larger since we have all this room here. Then you hit park, and then we're right back where we started. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit home. That brings us to here. I'll hit it again. Now I'll bring up the app. So here's all you could watch: YouTube, watch Rady's Rides while you're in your EX30. You got your Google Maps, obviously wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, all your different functions that are accessible. You hit the little car icon. This is where you do a lot of the things that normally you would do manually. So if I want to control the mirrors, I have to use the steering wheel to control whether I want to adjust the left mirror or the right mirror. Can't do it with an actual manual control knob. That's the frustration. That's a little too much. It does have one pedal operation, real easy to turn on and off. You have this driver alert. I like to shut it off because it's really annoying. It's really annoying. Every time you move your eyes somewhere, it winds up beeping at you. And then the lane keep assist, it's a little too aggressive. Here's your ambiance, so you can make changes to the screen, to all the different settings. Ooh, look, a forest bath. See the yellow? Look at that. That's the moss yellow. That's why we have the color of this car from Scandinavia. Other things that involve is your wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. But like I said, everything, including, watch this. There's your glove box. Your glove box isn't over there. Your glove box is right here. And you have to use the screen to open up the glove box. The good news is I could close it manually. Let's see if I could actually close it. I'm curious. No, you got to do it. They want you to move a muscle a little bit in here. But just like on the passenger and the driver's side, you got the lighting built into this is manual. So thank God for that, because I don't like it when you have to go on the screens to adjust stuff like that. And then you got all your tire pressure, all the information that you need to get to. Once you get the hang of it, it's fairly easy, but in the beginning, it's kind of complicated, and that's why I'm zonking it. Down below, you have your wireless charging. Only one. They should have gave you two. That's a zonk. You have a place here where you could put your kielbasa sausage sandwich. Maybe you got a wiener schnitzel or something. Or you could just fill this up with Swedish fish. And then look at this. There's a secret compartment underneath with two USB-Cs. So this is where you could plug something else in to charge up, and then you could hide it. For the first time, you'll notice we have that key card access, that near field communication. You put this up to the driver door and it unlocks everything. Or you could actually have the transmitter as well, which when you approach the car, it will activate. But as you can see, there's no buttons, just like the interior. Very creative design. So here's the switch gear for your windows, side windows. So I can adjust my windows. There's down, there's up. See, look how we're doing that. And then what you're also able to do is I could tap rear, and then it's gonna put down the back window as well. So all of that is from this place. Now watch this, you ready? Whoa, what just happened here? Another compartment. This is where you got your cup holder. You put your cappuccino, your frappuccino, maybe one of those mocha latte smoothie drinks or whatever the hell you're spending money on. It blows my mind. And there's the cup holder. See, you got to do that. It blows my mind how much people spend on coffee drinks each and every day. I used to tell my students when they would come in with their frappa crappa lappas, I'm like, if you're spending $5 a day, 5 days a week, that's $25 a week, times 4 weeks in a month. That's $100 a month you're spending on crap, where you can just make it at home. But this is your center console. That's what you get. You don't have any storage underneath here, unless you could rip it off. Seats, cloth, it's all reclaimed material, like the piping. You do have electric assist controls for the passenger and for the driver. Thank God, it's actual physical controls. The other thing I'm not a big fan of, no power shade or shade whatsoever for the panoramic glass roof. It's a solid roof, it's not a sunroof. But I am getting a lot of sun right now because I can't close any shade. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I got a steering wheel to show you, and that's about all that's over here. So come on over, let me show you. All right guys, business time behind the wheel. Just like on the passenger door, there's no actual buttons or anything on the driver door. Controls are easy to get to. It's that one cube there that you move around to make your adjustments. I'm 6 feet tall, and surprisingly, even though this is a small crossover SUV, there's lots of room in here, and that's a no-brainer because remember, as an EV, the floor is much lower and they're able to push the wheels further forward and further back so that there's less overhang, which gives you more room on the interior. Now, one correction I do need to make, because the Swedish chef called me up while we were switching the parts of the video, this screen is actually a 12.3 inch, which I guess technically is more than 10 inches, like I said, but 12.3 inch. Remember, they used to be 9 inches in other Volvos. So they did go quite large, but that's the only screen you have. Steering wheel, love the shape. Flat bottom, flat top, almost like a C8. You do have gloss black on the switchgear. You're gonna need to bring your Swedish cloth and wipe it off. The Volvo badge looking good. And then of course you have your dual stalks for your wipers, lights, and then of course the shifter. This is to keep focus on your eye movement. This does have pilot assist, which is a semi-autonomous hands-free driving. And surprisingly, it only has a manual tilting and telescoping wheel. I'm personally not a big fan of having everything in the screen, but they did provide a very clean interior in here. Let's get in the back seat and see how good it is though for your passengers in this EX30. All right guys, back seat time. Where should I start? Well, let's start with the bad news. The bad news is my knees are way too high. And I don't understand because I always was under the impression that the floors were really low, which I mean, it's flat, but my knees are just too high when I don't, it's not very comfortable sitting position. I almost feel like it's like a squatty potty type of seating position if you use one of those. But Lots of headroom. I'm 6 feet tall. Plenty of room back here. Plenty of room up front, of course. Just, I don't know. I don't love the seating position. The backs of the seats, you got enough room to stuff some Swedish fish that you just caught back there. You do have your switch gear for the rear glass, the side glass, and you got 2 USB-Cs, a place where you could put maybe some York peppermint patties. Can't even get a Twinkie in there. But down below, this is kind of interesting. This actually is a pass-through from the front. So you could actually have like a bag of Lay's chips that somebody has up front, and you could grab them and have them yourself. You could actually pull this all the way out. And look, there's Easter eggs. There's the killer moose over in Sweden. They have killer moose you have to watch out for. But that slides back in there like that. Yeah, knees are just too high. And then surprisingly, there's no center armrest. But what's crazy is they think you're gonna sit 3 across back here. That, I wanna pay to see 3 grown adults sit in this back area. I will pay to see that because it's gonna stink how tight it is. But let's get in the cargo area and see if there's enough space for you to consider this EX30. All right guys, cargo area time. Hit that hidden button. You get that electric assist. One thing to realize is that the trunk, the rear bumper and the bottom of the trunk area is a little on the higher side. You're gonna be greeted to 14 cubic feet of space. Not a ton, but once you fold down those rear seats, it goes from 14 cubic feet of space to 32 cubic feet of space. And then the nice thing is they do give you large nooks to where you can put your bags of Swedish fish on both sides, and you have storage underneath as well. So that's another good sign as well. We got our charging cable. You could take that out and put it up front underneath the hood if you wanted to, but hey, it's that time. We're done talking about the looks. We're done talking about the technology. Let's go see how this new EX30 drives when we go on throttle with its twin motors. All right, guys, we're inside this 2025 Volvo EX30 twin motor Ultra. You'll notice when you're in drive at the top of the 12.3-inch portrait style screen, how you have your speedometer, you have your augmented reality, where it's gonna show the vehicles that are around you, what direction your direct drive transmission is going. We're in drive, so obviously we're going forward, and your charge and your range. What I wanna do is I wanna just pull the Band-Aid off right away and get it done with. We're gonna do the acceleration because obviously that's the big excitement with this vehicle being an EV, having twin motors, is you get that instant thrust and propulsion, which if you're not ready for it, can sometimes be a little intense. So if you're ready, I'm ready. On throttle, here we go. Look at that. That is the most interesting thing about an EV, is that you just have that pure all-out acceleration. But now let's talk about everything else with this vehicle. Even though I'm not a big fan of having everything in the infotainment system and no actual digital gauge cluster of any type, it does open up visibility very well. Out the front, out the back. I even like the way the side mirrors are designed, where there's not a lot of extra real estate around the mirror area. Really makes them super slim, extra aerodynamic, and like you're just seeing mirror, which is how it should be. You do have that semi-autonomous hands-free driving that you could do with the pilot assist. And we got the Harman Kardon sound system, so you know the music is nice and clear, the audio, and the quality is there. That's one thing I'm noticing, is that the quality, the fit and finish in this vehicle is amazing. Now you have the choice of turning on or off the one pedal operation. Right now I have it off. And that is easy to do once you figure it out where in the screen it's located. But pull it out here, you ready? On throttle, look at this. It's like it's extra fast. On throttle! It's like a time warp, man. Crazy. And with the all-wheel drive system, with the dual motor, it gets the power to the ground very, very effectively, very efficient. No road noise or wind noise really whatsoever. So they did a really great job on the sound deadening material, the quality of the acoustic glass, and even things like the noise for your turn signal. It's not loud and obnoxious. You can see the vehicles around you on the screen here. But very, very easy to drive, very straightforward from the actual driving experience. We could go into our screen here. I could shut off driver alert. That's one of the things I definitely don't like to have, where it's beeping every time I look. Like, say if I'm like, ooh, are baby back ribs on sale at Chili's? If I take my eyes off the road for a split second, it yells at me. Reminds me of my dad when he taught me how to drive. But the one pedal operation really allows you to have that ability in traffic to not have to move your foot back and forth, which is great. But as you can see, we're coming to a stop, and it's not really an intense one pedal operation, which I like. Sometimes they're too intense, and it just makes it a real pain to operate. But as you can see, it holds you in place. Love the leather on the steering wheel, or I should say the vegan leather or pleather. And just very spacious, very open for a smaller size crossover SUV. But you just hear the whisper of the AC, and then we're gonna go on throttle. You ready? On throttle! Peace out, Girl Scout. Very, very intense with that instant torque, which does take some time getting used to. But once you're used to it, it's not a big deal. But going down the road, the steering is nice and light, but it is direct, which is good. But it's not heavy. You could actually make those adjustments if you want the steering to be heavier. And what I like too, there's not like a bunch of modes. It's either you have the system set up to take on full performance, or the system set up to take on more range. One or the other. That's how it should be. But you're not getting a bunch of body roll. It's very connected. It's a very connected feel when you're behind the wheel of this EX30. Make a U-turn, look at this. Piece of cake. On throttle, look at that, golly. Just put you back in the seat. And that's that. Bring up our home screen. Like I said, once you get the hang of where all the icons are, it's actually not too cumbersome to navigate through. But I do like the driving experience. If you're looking for an EV, this is definitely one on that luxury side to consider. If you're not looking for a big one, you want something a little bit more sporty, and you want the latest and greatest in some of the technology, especially that Volvo's bringing, this really checks off a lot of the boxes. Seats are comfortable, supportive. But it does provide a very unique driving experience, which is good, which is what you want. But I'm hoping that this has been a good, quick overall review of the EX30. We're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, another great day in so many ways here with this all new EX30. We gotta thank everybody at Volvo for getting us access to this press fleet vehicle. Let me know what you think. Whether you're an EV fan or not talking about that, talking about, do you think they did a good job based off of what this is? Did they do a good job with the styling, with the performance, with the range, and then of course with the price? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, Thank you for being part of the Raise Rise family. Gotta get up to Stephen Flood. The one thing he loves plugging in are not his cars, but his video game systems, because Stephen loves video games more than almost cars. I think he actually likes cars more, I hope. Fingers crossed. But thank you, Stephen, for all that you're doing. Just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.